What if the very people who were supposed to love and support you became the ones who destroyed your dreams? Imagine working day and night, fighting for a future you believe in, only to have your own parents look you in the eye and tell you that you are too poor, too unworthy, too small to ever stand beside them. That's exactly what happened to Isabella Reed. She was humiliated, cast aside, and told she would never be good enough to join her parents' medical empire. But life has a way of turning pain into power. Years later, when her parents walked into a hospital seeking prestige and success, they were about to discover a shocking truth. The daughter they rejected was not just a doctor. She was the owner of the entire hospital. This is not just a story of betrayal, it's a story of revenge, resilience, and triumph that will leave you speechless. Asterisk, before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave your comments. Asterisk, Isabella Reed grew up in Chicago, Illinois, in a family where medicine wasn't just a career, it was a legacy. Her father, Dr. Gregory Reed, was a highly respected heart surgeon, and her mother, Dr. Patricia Reed, was a successful dermatologist. To the outside world, the Reeds seemed like a picture-perfect family, wealthy, influential, admired, but Isabella knew better. Behind their smiles was an obsession with status, money, and appearances. From her earliest days, Isabella dreamed of following in their footsteps. While other kids played with dolls or sports, she begged her parents for old medical textbooks. She shadowed them at their clinic whenever she could, fascinated by the patience, the precision, and the power of healing. She wasn't just playing pretend, she wanted this life with every part of her soul. By the time she was in college, Isabella's grades were outstanding. She applied for medical school and, against all odds, received a full scholarship. It was her ticket to proving herself, not through her parents' money, but through her own hard work. One evening, Isabella sat at the massive oak dining table in her parents' pristine home. Her hands trembled as she slid the acceptance letter across to them. She expected tears of joy, hugs, maybe even pride, but the reaction was nothing like that. Her father read the letter, lips pressed in a thin line. He set it down slowly and looked at her with an expression colder than steel. "Isabella, you don't belong in medicine," he said flatly. Her heart stuttered. "What do you mean? This is what I've worked for my whole life." Her mother folded her arms. "You got in because of charity. Scholarships are for the poor. Do you think we want to parade around a daughter who looks like some charity case? Do you think the Reed's name should be associated with that?" The words sliced through her. "But I earned it," Isabella whispered. "I worked for this." Her father's tone sharpened. "Medicine is not just about brains, Isabella. It's about reputation. It's about wealth. Patients trust doctors who are successful, powerful. You are neither. You will never be part of our practice. Not now, not ever." Isabella sat frozen, the acceptance letter trembling in her hands. Her own parents, to people who had taken an oath to heal, were crushing her spirit because she didn't have money of her own. She wanted to scream, to cry, to beg, but instead, she swallowed her pain, and in that silence, something inside her hardened. That night, as she packed her things to leave their house, she promised herself one thing: she would prove them wrong. The first years were brutal. Isabella worked 3 part-time jobs just to survive. She studied in libraries until midnight, often on an empty stomach. While her classmates drove luxury cars, she took buses in the freezing Chicago winter. Her parents never called, never visited, never offered a dime of support. At times, the weight of it all nearly broke her. There were nights she cried into her pillow, wondering if her parents were right. Maybe she didn't belong. Maybe she was too poor. But every morning, she forced herself up again. One more lecture, one more exam, one more day closer. And slowly, something incredible began to happen. Professors noticed her brilliance. Patients admired her compassion. She wasn't just surviving, she was excelling. By her 3rd year, she had become one of the top students in her class. Hospitals began to recognize her name. She was no longer the poor girl on a scholarship. She was Isabella Reed, the rising star. It was during her residency that everything changed. Isabella was assigned to a large hospital in Chicago. Unlike her parents' private practice, this hospital served everyone, rich and poor alike. And it was here that Isabella realized her calling wasn't just medicine, it was leadership. She saw how the hospital struggled with funding, with outdated equipment, with bureaucracy. She saw doctors who cared but were stretched thin, and she thought, what if I could change this? With her sharp mind and relentless drive, Isabella began suggesting improvements. At first, her ideas were dismissed. But when one of her proposals creating a low-cost clinic for underserved patients brought in massive funding from donors, the hospital's board started paying attention. By the time she finished her residency, Isabella wasn't just a doctor, she was becoming a visionary. And then came the opportunity that would change everything. A group of investors approached her with a daring idea. They wanted her to lead a project, the creation of a brand new, state-of-the-art hospital. It was risky. It was massive, but Isabella said yes. Years of sleepless nights followed. Isabella poured everything into the project, her time, her energy, her very soul. She pitched to investors, designed departments, hired staff who shared her passion. The day the hospital finally opened, it was nothing short of breathtaking. Modern, innovative, accessible to both the wealthy and the poor. A hospital that carried Isabella's vision of true healing. Her name wasn't just on the staff list, it was on the ownership papers. She, the girl her parents had dismissed as too poor, now owned one of the most respected hospitals in the city. But fate wasn't done with her yet, because soon, her parents would walk through those very doors. It had been nearly 10 years since Isabella last spoke to her parents. 10 years of silence, of bitter rejection that cut deeper than any wound. She had built her hospital, earned respect, and gained recognition across the medical field. Yet, somewhere inside, the pain lingered. She didn't crave their love anymore, no, that had died long ago. But what she wanted was something different. For them to know the truth. For them to see the daughter they cast aside rise higher than they ever dreamed. And fate, cruel and poetic, gave her exactly that opportunity. One Monday morning, Isabella's secretary knocked on her office door. "Dr. Reed, there's a new intake you might want to know about," she said cautiously. Isabella barely looked up from her reports. "New intakes come every hour, Sarah," her secretary hesitated. "Yes, but this one is Dr. Gregory Reed and Dr. Patricia Reed." The pen slipped from Isabella's fingers. Her chest tightened as old memories, her father's cold stare, her mother's mocking laugh came rushing back. She took a slow breath. "Send them to my office." Minutes later, the door opened, and in walked her parents. Time had aged them. Her father's once black hair was silver now, and her mother's face carried lines of stress, but their expressions, haughty and titled, hadn't changed one bit. "Isabella," her mother said stiffly, "so you work here. Work here, not run it, own it, built it." "Yes," Isabella said calmly, folding her hands. "Welcome to my hospital." Her father gave a thin smile. "We've been told this is the best facility in Chicago. We're considering moving our practice here, merging with your team." For a moment, Isabella almost laughed. The arrogance, the sheer blindness was unbelievable. These were the same people who once told her she was unworthy of standing beside them, and now they were here, begging for space under her roof. "Interesting," Isabella said softly. "You want to join the staff here, work under this hospital's name?" "Of course," her mother said quickly. "It would be mutually beneficial. Our reputation brings prestige, and yours, well, you've done well for yourself, considering, that one word dripped with the same venom as years ago. Isabella leaned back in her chair. "You're right, I've done very well. In fact, I don't just work here, I own this hospital." Silence. Her parents' faces drained of color. Her father blinked in disbelief. "You own it?" "Yes," Isabella said evenly. "This hospital is my creation, my vision, my life's work. Every wall, every department, every success, it all started with the daughter you called too poor, too unworthy." Her mother's lips parted, but no words came. Isabella leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "Do you remember the night you told me I could never be part of your practice? That I didn't belong in medicine? That I was nothing but a charity case?" Her father cleared his throat, shifting uncomfortably. "We were protecting you. Medicine is difficult." "No," Isabella cut in. "You weren't protecting me. You were protecting your image. You threw me away because I wasn't rich enough for your standards. But let me tell you something. While you were clinging to your money, I was building something greater. Not just a practice for the wealthy, but a hospital that heals everyone." Her words hung in the air like thunder. Her parents sat there stunned. For the first time, their power, their prestige, their carefully cultivated arrogance meant nothing. Finally, her mother spoke, voice trembling. "Isabella, maybe we were wrong, but surely, as family, you wouldn't turn us away." Family. That word stung. Isabella stood slowly, her figure towering with quiet strength. "Family, when I begged for your support, you turned your backs. When I needed love, you gave me shame. You don't get to use that word now." Her father bristled. "Be careful, Isabella. Reputation matters. She smiled coldly. Exactly, and in this hospital, reputation is earned, not bought. If you want to work here, you'll apply like everyone else. You'll go through the same process as the doctors you once looked down on, and you'll work under my rules. Their eyes widened with shock. It was the final blow. Her father's voice shook with rage. You can't humiliate us like this. But Isabella only turned to the door. Security will show you out. If you want to reapply, my staff will send you the forms. Otherwise, good luck finding a place that still worships wealth over worth. Word spread quickly in Chicago's medical community. The mighty Reeds, once untouchable, had been humbled by their own daughter. They applied nowhere else, their reputation forever scarred by the scandal. Meanwhile, Isabella's hospital flourished. Patients adored her. Doctors respected her. Investors praised her vision. She had not only built a medical empire, she had built a legacy that dwarfed anything her parents ever created. And one quiet evening, standing in the hospital's rooftop garden, Isabella whispered to herself, "They said I was too poor, but now, I'm richer than they'll ever be. Not just in money, in purpose, in respect, in truth." Her revenge was complete. Asterisk, if you liked my story, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with as many people as possible. Thanks for watching.